Hey guys, so this is my first video for all the students that did not do so well on unit conversions. This is just kind of a recap video. I will make a retake available soon for all of you. If you do want to retake this quiz, please let me know. I will send an email and you guys can email me. But for right now, we're going to go through just the two types of unit conversions, which is the metric prefixes and then what I like to call the regular English to metric conversions, okay? So let's get started. All right, so let's first go through the basics of what we learned and the first step, all the steps for every time we do a problem with unit conversions. So if you remember, step one is always to make sure write down what you're given. So in the problem, you will always have a number with a unit given. So make sure you write that number down. Step number two is write down an answer blank with desired unit. So always make sure that you have your blank with the final answer, and that's represented by the blank, and the unit that you want your final answer to be in. Step three, write an equivalent to cancel unwanted units. So make sure you always know that unwanted units can only be canceled when they're across from each other. You cannot cancel units that are right next to each other. You always have to make sure they're across from each other. And step number four, multiply by the top and divide by the bottom. So always want to make sure that the top numbers are being multiplied and that's being done first in your calculator, and then you divide by the bottom. If you follow these four steps, this should be pretty foolproof. So I want to get started first with the metric prefixes. So if you remember, you have that little half sheet. That little half sheet gives you all of the prefixes for kilo all the way through nano. But the ones we focused on was kilo, hecta, deca, deci, centi, and milli. So make sure you do that. So let's look at, for example, let's look at a simple problem where it says convert 20.33 centimeters to meters. Okay, first step, just as it's given up here, always write down what you're given. We are given 20.33 centimeters, okay? So that's your step number one. Step number two is you're gonna write an answer blank with the desired unit. So what unit do we want our final answer to be in? That's always this one at the end, the one that's by itself without a number. So we want our final answer in meters. All right. Step number three, you're going to write an equivalent to cancel unwanted units. So this is where our equivalent is going to go. So you need to remember, what is the unit that we want to cancel? We want to get rid of centimeters. So centimeters has to be across because that's the only way we can cancel it. That means that meters has to be at the top. Okay. And now we have to come up with an equivalent between centimeters and meters. So the way we did it before was what does centi equal? Well, centi is equal to 0.01. So that's what that 0.01 means in centi. So remember, there's two ways to do this. It's either 0.01 centimeters is equal to 1 meter, or you can say 1 centimeter is equal to 0.01 meters. So one of these is correct and one of these is incorrect. So how do we know which one's correct? Remember, we replace this 0.01 with the word centi. We replace this with the word centi. So the top one says centimeters is 1 meter. So centimeter is 1 meter. That's what the top one is saying. The bottom one is saying 1 centimeter is a centimeter. because remember, we replaced 0.01 with that word centi. So top one is saying 1 centimeter is a centimeter. So which one sounds the same both before the is and after the is? That's the bottom one. 1 centimeter is a centimeter. So this is our equivalent that's going to go right here. So again, 1 centimeter goes at the bottom, 0.01 meters goes at the top, and now we're able to cancel unwanted units. So centimeter and centimeter crosses out. We're going to multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. So once you get your calculator, you should do 20.33 times 0.01, and that's divided by 1. And that should be your answer. All right, you can leave it as is. You can write 0.2. I don't really care right now for rounding, but make sure, especially if this quiz is multiple choice, I haven't decided that. If it is multiple choice, you're looking for an answer that looks like that. Okay, so what happens when we do a two-step problem? So that's the one that a lot of us have been having trouble with. This is a one-step problem. How do I know this is a one-step problem? Because I'm going from 2 units to 1 unit. All the time, anytime I'm going from 2 to 1 or 1 to 2 units, it's always a one-step problem. Okay, you need to make sure of that. Let me show you how a two-step problem will look like. A two-step problem looks like convert 7.18 ml to CL. How come I know this is a two-step problem and not the top one? As you can see, we have 2 units, 2 units. Okay, this is a 2 to 2 unit, so this is a two-step problem. Now, how will I start by solving this? I always, if you had trouble with this and how do you know where to stop, where to end, you always want to make sure what is the unit that both of these numbers have in common. The unit that both of these numbers have in common is liters. So that means you're going from milliliters to liters and then liters to centiliters. This is your midpoint, okay? This is your midpoint here. So make sure that your first equivalent, you are turning it to liters first. So what do I start with? Okay, always write down what you start with. So that's 7.18 milliliters. I want my final answer. I'm going to leave a big blank here because there is a two-step equivalent since it's a two-step. And my final answer should be in centiliters. Now, this is the first step. This is the second step. Third step is I want to cancel unwanted units. So I want to make sure I write an equivalent. And remember, for these, you are writing 2. Because you want to go to liters first. So in your first equivalent, because that's what you want at the top and you want to get rid of milliliters, liters should be at the top, ml should be at the bottom. So let's focus on this one first. We'll focus on this one in just a second. So we want to cancel out milliliters and we want to get our final answer in liters. But first, what does milli stand for? Well, milli stands for 0.001. So 0.001, and remember, let's write the 2 possible equivalents for this. The first one is always going to be 0.001, and you can say ml or L, doesn't matter which one of these. 0.001 ml is equal to 1 liters, and it's always 1. Okay, one of your numbers is always, what does that prefix represent, and then 1. Or you can say 1 ml is equal to 0.001 liters. One of these is right, one of these is incorrect. So how do we know? We replace 0.001 with the word milli. So we replace this with milli, we replace this with milli. And let's read it in the sentence. The top one says, a milliliter is 1 liter, okay? Bottom one says 1 milliliter, let me write it out. 1 milliliter is a milliliter. So, which one sounds the same before and after? If we look, this is milli, and then this is 1 liter. These are obviously not the same on both sides. Bottom one, though, says 1 milliliter is a milliliter. These actually sound correct, so we're going to choose the bottom one. Now, that means that 1 ml is going to go at the bottom because that's where we want to cancel out ml. 0.001 liters is going to go at the top. Okay, so and then now we're able to cancel ML and ML, and we're multiplied by the top, divide by the bottom. But we don't do that yet because that's not our final answer. That's our midpoint. We want to move on to centiliters. So because we want to get rid of liters, liters goes at the bottom, and now centiliters goes at the top because that's what our final answer. And these two should match, and they do. So now let's work with centi. Okay, all right. So centi, as we did the first problem, we know is 0.01. So what are the two possible ways we can write this? We can say 1 centiliter is equal to 0.01 liters, or we can say 0.01 centiliters is equal to 1 liter. All right, so we have to figure out which one's correct, and again, by rewriting it. So this one says 1 centiliter is a centiliter. Bottom one says centiliter is 1 liter. So again, you're looking for equal on both sides. Top one, 1 centiliter is a centiliter. Bottom one, centiliter is 1 liter. These are not the same on both sides. The top one is, so we are going to choose that one. So that means that 1 is at the top, 0.01 is at the bottom, and now we can get rid of liters, okay? So in your calculator, you are multiplying 7.18 first, times 0.001, and then you're dividing by 1, okay? And then you're multiplying by 1, and then you're dividing by 0.01. And that should give you your final answer. So your final answer should be 0.718 centiliters. All right? And now we have our final answer for centiliters. So again, the difference between 1 step and 2 step. 1 step, 2 units to 1 unit. Bottom one, this is a 2 step, 2 units to 2 units. Midpoint is the one that they both have in common, which is liters. All right, so how about the second types of problems? How about the English to metric conversions? Well, those are a little bit different. Those don't have a scale like you guys normally have. You guys just simply have a basic like for example, 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. You have 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Those stay consistent. There's nothing for you to read like the way that we did it right now. You just put in the units with the numbers as they are. So you follow the same steps. So let's say, for example, I ask you to convert 5,680 kilograms to pounds. So how would you do, this should say 5,680 kilograms into pounds. So how would you do this? So first of all, you always write same steps as before. Write down what I'm given. So that's 5,680 kilograms. Now, and then the second step is, what do I want my final answer blank with my desired units. So what do I want my final answer to be in? I want my final answer to be in pounds. So third step, you're going to write a metric equivalent to get rid of undesired units. In this case, our undesired unit is kilogram, okay? Kilogram goes at the bottom because that's what we want to get rid of. Pounds, or LBS, goes at the top. And now you just write what you see. So if you have your little half sheet, these conversions are on the right-hand side. And in the right-hand side, you should see 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. And you're going to keep the numbers with the units as you see it. So that means that 1 goes at the bottom, 2.2 pounds goes at the top, and now we can get rid of undesired units. Last step, multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. So again, using your calculator, you're going to do 5,680 times 2.2, and then you're going to divide by 1. And then you're going to get your answer, which is 12,496. And that's it, okay? These are pretty simple. Now, I understand there is a couple of multi-step ones. I did not mention them that well in lectures, so I know why some people might have had difficulties with these. So let's do, for example, a time one. I know those tend to be a little bit more challenging. So time one, for example, convert 567 hours into years. All right, so how would I do this one? So 567 hours, that's what I start with, so that's always what you write first. All right, now, I think all of us are aware that we really don't know how many hours are in a year, but we can start and build into years, meaning we can convert into a unit that's bigger from hours, that's closer to years, but not exactly at years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a couple of blanks here, a big blank, because this is a two-step problem. Since we don't have, in our little half sheet, we don't have a conversion that says years to hours, but we can go from, as we all know, we know how many hours are in a day, and from a day, we know how many days are in a year. So we can basically come up with a two-step conversion to get us there. So hours, because we want to get rid of hours, hours has to go at the bottom. And because we want our mid, or not our final answer, but our mid answer in days, we can put that at the top because that's what we want to start with. Because from days, I know how many days are in a year. So how many hours in a day? I think we all know that there's 24 hours in one day, correct? Now, where does 24 hours go? Like I said before, there's no trick to these. You just put it with the unit and it goes with one day. So now this way we can get rid of hours and we have days, which makes us one step closer to our final answer. Now, how many days are in a year? All of us know that there's 365 days in 1 year, right? So now what would I do here? So because I want to get rid of days, remember, we don't want days anymore. We want to get rid of it. And years is the final answer that we want. So 1 would go at the top. 365 will go at the bottom. So again, remember, it's always multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. Multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. So how would we do this? So 567 times 1, and days would cross out as well, divided by 24, times 1 again, and now I got to divide by 365 days. So you should get a fairly small answer. And the reason why, guys, because again, hours is a small unit and years is a big unit, meaning there's obviously more time in years than there is in hours. So that is why this number is fairly small. And again, I'm just going to round it to 0.065 because the 7 makes the 4 round up. So I'm going to just leave it like that. And this is my final answer. Okay, again, these are not as hard. You probably don't even need the conversion chart since most of you guys, this is basic knowledge that we should have about time. All right, so how about a two-step that I also put in the quiz, and I know this was another difficult one because I saw a lot of students get it wrong. So let's talk about this one. Okay, 78 inches at 2 yards. This is also a two-step one. And how do I know this is a two-step one? Because I don't have a conversion from inches to yards in the little half sheet. However, I do tell you the following. I say that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. And I also say 12 inches is equal to 1 feet. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the inches I can convert to feet first, and then from feet I can convert to yards. Okay, and that's you gotta try to make the connection there. And the best way to understand this is inches is the smallest, a very small unit. Obviously, feet is a bigger unit. Okay, but then yards is the biggest unit because as we can see, there's 3 feet in 1 yard, and there's only 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, so how would we figure this one out? So let's start by writing what we have, which is 78 inches. Okay, and we're going to write a big blank here because we're going to have a multi-step problem, and we want our final answer to be in yards, right? Okay, so what would we do we need to write two equivalents to get rid of inches and go into lead into feet and then feet into yards. So inches is at the top. And since we want to get rid of inches has to be at the bottom, and feet can be at the top here. So how many inches in a foot? Well, we know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot according to this, right? And now this way we can get rid of inches. Now from inches, we have feet. And from feet, we can go into yards. And if we want to get rid of feet, feet has to be at the bottom, yards has to be at the top. So we have the equivalent units for the final answer and this one. So that means that 1 yard in 3 feet. Okay, so again, we can get rid of feet now, and we will multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. So 78 times 1 divided by 12, it's just 6.5. And then we're going to multiply by the top again, times 1, and divide by 3. And we should get 2.1666667. It's okay if it's a repeated one. You can just write 2.17 yards. Again, I'm not going to be picky on rounding. Just make sure if it's a multiple choice, you choose the one that looks the most similar to it. All right, guys? So again, we started off by a one-step. If you see, how do I recognize if it's a one-step problem? You should see the conversion in your little half sheet right next to it. If it's not a one-step problem, I won't see it, but I will see 2 or maybe 3 that lead me to the final product compared to what I started with, okay? So be cautious of those, all right? I will upload the practice worksheets. The answer key's already up there. Please put in your comments if you have any questions. I will try my best to reply to comments. If there's any live sessions that we can all agree on that would work for us, also please let me know, okay? Hope you guys are having a great spring break. Already miss you guys. See you soon.